Welcome back to the channel, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Today, we're uncovering two of the rarest and most valuable United States Washington $quarter coins that could be hiding in everyday pocket change. One of these coins might be worth far more than its face value, so stay with us until the end. You won't want to miss these incredible discoveries. First, coins 1984 United States Jefferson nickel quietly entered circulation during a decade of economic change. Yet few people imagined that this ordinary 5-cent coin would someday capture the attention of collectors searching through pocket change and forgotten coin jars. Featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his historic home, Monticello, on the reverse, the coin continued a design that had already become one of the most recognizable in American numismatic history. Millions were produced for everyday commerce, making it seem impossible that anything truly valuable could be hiding among them. But experienced collectors know that enormous mintages can still conceal remarkable rarities. Every scratch, every sharply struck detail, and every unexpected mint characteristic tells a story that transforms a simple nickel into a fascinating piece of American history waiting to be rediscovered. By 1984, Jefferson nickels were struck primarily in Philadelphia and Denver, using the familiar copper-nickel clad composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving the coin its distinctive silvery appearance rather than the warm golden tone seen on other modern coins. Although most examples look nearly identical at first glance, subtle differences in strike quality, die condition, and preservation separate common circulation pieces from coins that attract serious collector attention. Sharp hair details on Jefferson, crisp lettering around the rim, and clearly defined steps on Monticello are often signs of a stronger strike, while weak impressions or worn dies can create an entirely different appearance. These tiny differences are often overlooked by the average person, but become incredibly important once knowledgeable collectors begin examining the coin under magnification. The real mystery surrounding the 1984 Jefferson nickel begins with mint errors and unexpected production anomalies that escaped quality control before entering circulation. Some examples display noticeable die cracks stretching across the design, while others reveal off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or dramatic die deterioration that changes the appearance of letters and devices. Collectors also search for doubled lettering, especially in inscriptions and dates where die doubling may become visible under proper lighting. Even small rotational errors or unusual strike pressure can transform an otherwise ordinary nickel into an exciting conversation piece. These mistakes were never intended to leave the mint, making every confirmed example a reminder that even carefully controlled production can produce surprising exceptions. As more collectors studied modern nickels, another fascinating truth emerged. The rarest pieces are not always the oldest, and they are not always hidden inside expensive collections. Some extraordinary discoveries have appeared in inherited jars, old dresser drawers, forgotten piggy banks, and rolls obtained directly from local banks. That possibility keeps thousands of hobbyists searching every single day, because the excitement comes from never knowing whether the next ordinary-looking nickel could reveal an uncommon characteristic overlooked for decades. The thrill is not simply about money, but about uncovering a genuine piece of history that somehow survived unnoticed through countless everyday transactions. Imagine discovering a seemingly ordinary 1984 Jefferson nickel that turns out to possess a desirable variety or a certified mint error. While values always depend on rarity, condition, collector demand, and professional authentication, illustrative market scenarios help explain why collectors remain fascinated. A minor but collectible variation might attract interest in the neighborhood of $2,500 to $3,500, while a beautifully preserved high-grade example with exceptional eye appeal could reach around $5,000. An unusual mint anomaly might inspire competitive bidding near $6,000, proving that even a modern 5-cent coin can surprise those willing to look carefully. These figures are only examples, never guarantees, but they demonstrate how dramatically collector demand can influence value. The excitement grows even further when exceptionally scarce examples appear. A rare collector piece with outstanding originality could illustrate a market outcome around $7,500, while an exceptionally preserved or uncommon specimen might reach approximately $8,000 under favorable collecting conditions. An unusual find supported by strong collector demand could climb toward $8,500, and an extraordinary or historically significant certified example might approach $9,000. These illustrative amounts should never be viewed as promises because every coin is unique, yet they reveal why collectors continue examining nickels that most people would spend without a second thought. Finding a coin with that kind of potential could feel like discovering enough money for a down payment on a home, experiencing a sudden financial windfall, or stumbling across a once-in-a-lifetime treasure hiding in plain sight. Those emotional possibilities keep families searching inherited collections together and inspire beginners to become lifelong numismatists. Yet the greatest reward often comes from the discovery itself, from realizing that history sometimes survives inside the smallest and most overlooked objects. Every Jefferson nickel carries a journey through countless hands, businesses, and generations, making each surviving example a silent witness to decades of American life. If you decide to inspect your own 1984 Jefferson Nickels, begin carefully and never clean the coin because cleaning can permanently reduce collector value. Compare the expected weight with a precise digital scale, paying attention to any unusual differences that could indicate an incorrect planchet or other production anomaly. Examine the metal color for unexpected tones. Study the strike alignment to ensure both sides appear properly positioned. Inspect the rim for irregular shapes or missing sections, and use magnification to search for letter doubling in the date, inscriptions, or other design elements. Tiny details often separate an ordinary coin from one worthy of further professional evaluation. Even when a coin appears unusual, responsible examination remains essential, because many forms of damage can imitate genuine mint errors. Where environmental exposure, harsh cleaning, or accidental impacts frequently create misleading appearances that resemble valuable varieties. That is why experienced collectors rely on respected professional authentication and grading services before assigning significant value to any remarkable discovery. Certification provides confidence, confirms authenticity, documents condition, and allows buyers and sellers to evaluate the coin using recognized industry standards rather than speculation or wishful thinking. Somewhere inside an old coin jar, a forgotten bank roll, or the loose change resting in a kitchen drawer, another 1984 United States Jefferson nickel may still be waiting for someone curious enough to notice what everyone else ignored. The next remarkable discovery could look completely ordinary until the right combination of sharp observation, careful research, and professional authentication reveals an incredible story hidden beneath 5 cents of face value. And if one overlooked nickel can surprise the collecting world, imagine what astonishing American coin could be waiting to rewrite the next chapter in this incredible treasure hunt. Second coin 2000 United States Jefferson nickel, composed of the familiar cupronickel alloy used for circulation, quietly entered the new millennium without attracting much public attention. Yet beneath its ordinary appearance lies a fascinating chapter in modern American coinage that continues to captivate collectors today. Designed with the enduring portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his beloved home, Monticello, on the reverse, this coin represented continuity during a time when the United States was embracing the excitement of the year 2000. Millions passed through cash registers, vending machines, and pockets without a second glance, but time has revealed that some examples escaped the mint with characteristics that transformed an everyday 5-cent coin into an object of serious numismatic curiosity. What appears to be a simple nickel can become a doorway into hidden stories of production, precision, and the unpredictable nature of the minting process. The visual appeal of the 2000 Jefferson nickel becomes stronger the longer it is examined. Freshly struck examples display brilliant satin-like luster flowing across Jefferson's portrait, while Monticello often reveals remarkable architectural detail, from the crisp columns to the delicate steps leading toward the entrance. Tiny differences in strike quality, die condition, and surface preservation can dramatically separate an ordinary coin from one that collectors eagerly pursue. Coins that spent little or no time in circulation may still exhibit blazing mint frost and sharply defined lettering, while others developed colorful tunning ranging from soft champagne shades to subtle gold, blue, or violet highlights that make each surviving specimen unique. Even among coins struck during the same production run, no two examples age exactly alike, adding another layer of mystery that keeps collectors searching. The year 2000 was significant because the United States Mint was operating under tremendous production demands, while also preparing for growing public interest in new coin programs that would soon reshape American pocket change. Massive numbers of Jefferson nickels were produced, but heavy use of dies throughout long production schedules occasionally resulted in unexpected imperfections. Slight die fatigue, misaligned strikes, weak details, and other manufacturing quirks slipped into circulation, unnoticed by most people. Decades later, experienced collectors recognize that these subtle differences can separate common coins from pieces deserving closer study. The excitement comes from knowing that even a coin found in an old jar or forgotten dresser drawer could possess features overlooked for years. Mint errors surrounding the 2000 Jefferson nickel continue to generate excitement because every production mistake tells the story of a split-second event inside powerful coining presses operating at incredible speed. Off-center strikes, die cracks, die chips, doubled lettering, broad strikes, clip planchets, and occasional rotational errors all represent moments when machinery and metal failed to perform perfectly. Most errors remain minor, while a handful display dramatic visual characteristics that immediately capture attention. Collectors appreciate these mistakes not because they are flaws, but because they preserve an authentic snapshot of the minting process itself. Every unusual feature creates a mystery, inviting experts to determine exactly what happened during the coin's creation. As collectors dive deeper into the world of Jefferson nickels, they discover that condition often matters just as much as rarity. A sharply struck coin with untouched surfaces, strong luster, and virtually no contact marks can become surprisingly desirable despite its modern date. Professional grading services carefully examine tiny details invisible to casual observers, rewarding exceptional preservation with grades that dramatically influence collector demand. Two coins minted on the same day may appear identical at first glance, yet microscopic differences in wear, scratches, and strike sharpness can produce enormous differences in desirability. That reality turns every coin search into an adventure where patience often rewards those willing to look beyond the obvious. Imagine discovering that an ordinary-looking nickel sitting, unnoticed in a forgotten coin jar, possesses characteristics worthy of serious collector attention. While most 2000 Jefferson nickels remain worth only face value, certain minor variations have been associated with illustrative market outcomes between $2,500 and $3,500 under favorable collector circumstances, never as guaranteed values. Exceptionally preserved high-grade coins might illustrate results around $5,000, while unusual mint anomalies have sometimes inspired comparisons near $6,000 in collector discussions. Rare collector pieces could plausibly reach around $7,500, and exceptionally preserved or uncommon examples may illustrate values approaching $8,000. particularly unusual finds attracting strong collector demand, might illustrate figures around $8,500, while extraordinary or historically significant examples could be discussed at up to $9,000. These numbers are examples for storytelling and education, not promises, because every coin depends on authenticity, condition, rarity, and actual buyer demand. Those illustrative figures become even more powerful when placed beside real-life dreams. A discovery valued in the lower part of that range could resemble the size of a meaningful down payment on a home, helping someone take an important financial step they never imagined a nickel could inspire. Another exceptional find might feel like a sudden windfall arriving from nothing more than loose change forgotten in a kitchen drawer. The rarest possibilities evoke the thrill of a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, the kind of moment collectors imagine while searching through bank rolls, estate collections, inherited albums, and everyday pocket change. That emotional possibility keeps the hobby alive because every search carries the hope that history may still be hiding in plain sight. Responsible examination begins with careful observation rather than excitement alone. Compare the coin's weight with official specifications, because significant differences could indicate an unusual planchet or a non-standard piece requiring expert evaluation. Study the familiar silver-gray cupronickel color, looking for unexpected metal appearance or unusual surface texture. Examine whether Jefferson and Monticello appear properly centered, paying close attention to strike alignment, rim shape, and the consistency of the border around the entire coin. Inspect every letter and number under magnification, watching for genuine letter doubling rather than ordinary machine doubling or damage from circulation. These small details often determine whether a coin deserves additional professional attention. Professional authentication remains one of the most important steps before assuming any unusual Jefferson nickel carries significant value. Experienced numismatists and respected grading services possess specialized equipment capable of identifying authentic mint errors, altered coins, environmental damage, cleaning, counterfeit pieces, and other conditions that may confuse inexperienced collectors. Their evaluations provide confidence for buyers and sellers alike, while protecting collectors from costly mistakes. Even when a coin ultimately proves to be ordinary, the knowledge gained through careful examination strengthens future searches and builds the experience needed to recognize genuine treasures when they finally appear. The 2000 United States Jefferson Nickel continues to remind collectors that extraordinary stories often begin with the smallest coins imaginable, quietly traveling through countless hands before one observant person notices something different. Somewhere, another forgotten nickel may still be resting inside a dusty jar, hidden beneath couch cushions, tucked into an inherited collection, or waiting in a bank roll for someone willing to examine it carefully instead of spending it without a thought. Perhaps the next remarkable discovery is already closer than anyone realizes, and the shocking coin we'll uncover next may prove that the greatest treasures are still hiding in the most ordinary places, waiting for the moment they finally reveal their incredible secret. Third coin 1986 Jefferson Nickel, composed of a copper-nickel alloy, entered circulation during a fascinating chapter in American coinage, quietly passing from one hand to another, while millions of people overlooked the remarkable stories hidden inside its 5-cent face value. At first glance it appears familiar, carrying the dignified portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and the historic image of Monticello on the reverse, yet every detail reflects decades of engraving tradition and precision. The soft silver-gray surface, the clean lettering, the balanced rim, and the carefully sculpted architectural lines of Jefferson's Virginia home combine to create a coin that seems ordinary until collectors begin searching for the smallest differences. Produced during an era when automated minting technology had become increasingly efficient, the 1986 Jefferson nickel rarely attracted public attention, making it one of those modern coins that often escaped careful examination. Ironically, that very lack of attention has become part of its appeal today, because the greatest discoveries often emerge from coins that everyone assumed were common. Millions of these nickels were struck, yet surviving examples with exceptional quality have become far more difficult to locate than many people imagine. Everyday circulation exposed most of them to decades of scratches, contact marks, worn high points, and dull surfaces, gradually erasing the crisp details that collectors prize. Finding one with blazing original luster, razor-sharp steps on Monticello, and virtually untouched surfaces can feel like opening a forgotten time capsule. The fascination grows even stronger because modern coins often hide subtle manufacturing differences invisible to casual observers. A collector may search through thousands of nickels before encountering one with unusually bold strikes, clean fields, or remarkable preservation, proving that rarity is sometimes created not by low mintage, but by survival in extraordinary condition. The visual character of the 1986 Jefferson nickel rewards careful observation. Jefferson's profile displays delicate hair strands, a sharply defined eye, and smooth contours that quickly reveal even minor wear. On the reverse, Monticello presents rows of tiny columns, windows, stairways, and the famous dome, all requiring tremendous precision during striking. Strong examples display crisp architectural detail from edge to edge, while weaker strikes may leave portions of the building soft or incomplete. Even the inscriptions, including Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, EPLURIBUSUNUM, and 5 cents, become important clues because slight variations in their sharpness can reveal differences in striking pressure or die condition. Every tiny detail becomes another chapter in the coin's story. Collectors become especially excited whenever conversations turn toward mint errors and unusual production characteristics from the 1986 issue. Although dramatic mistakes remain genuinely uncommon, examples involving doubled lettering, die cracks, off-center strikes, clip planchets, misaligned dies, filled dies, or subtle repunch details occasionally capture attention when verified by specialists. Some nickels may display unusually thick lettering, slight shifts in design alignment, or unexpected surface textures created during the minting process. Most unusual-looking coins ultimately prove to be circulation damage rather than valuable errors, yet that uncertainty keeps the search thrilling because every handful of change carries the possibility of revealing something that escaped notice for decades. This constant balance between ordinary appearance and hidden potential explains why the 1986 Jefferson nickel has earned lasting respect among dedicated collectors. Coin roll hunters regularly search bank rolls hopping to uncover sharply struck examples overlooked by everyone else. Estate collections occasionally reveal original rolls preserved since the year of issue, producing coins that still shine with fresh mint brilliance decades later. Each discovery reminds collectors that patience often outweighs luck, and that persistence can transform an everyday search into an unforgettable moment. The excitement is never simply about money, but about uncovering a tiny piece of American history that survived untouched while the world changed around it. As collectors evaluate possible treasures, value becomes a fascinating part of the story, but it must always be approached realistically because prices depend heavily on condition, rarity, authenticity, and collector demand. Illustrative market outcomes can range from roughly $2,500 to $3,500 for certain minor, yet desirable variations that attract specialized interest, while especially impressive high-grade examples might reach around $5,000 under favorable circumstances. Coins featuring unusual mint anomalies could potentially approach $6,000, and particularly scarce collector pieces with outstanding eye appeal have occasionally inspired discussions around $7,500. These figures are examples of what exceptional coins may achieve under the right conditions, and should never be viewed as guaranteed values. The suspense rises even further when exceptionally preserved or uncommon pieces enter the conversation. A remarkable specimen displaying extraordinary surfaces, superior strike quality, and impressive originality could inspire collector competition around $8,000, while unusual discoveries with especially strong demand might approach $8,500. Truly extraordinary examples with historically significant characteristics or remarkable combinations of rarity, preservation, and verified mint errors have occasionally been associated with values approaching $9,000. Such outcomes remain highly exceptional and entirely dependent upon professional evaluation, collector interest, and current market conditions. But the possibility transforms an ordinary nickel into something capable of feeling like a down payment on a home, a sudden financial windfall, or even a once-in-a-lifetime discovery hiding in plain sight. Anyone hoping to identify an important 1986 Jefferson nickel should begin with careful, responsible examination instead of excitement alone. Compare the coin's weight with official specifications, because unexpected differences may indicate an unusual planchet or postment alteration requiring further investigation. Observe the metal color under proper lighting, looking for unusual tones or inconsistent surfaces that deserve closer study. Examine whether the strike appears properly centered and whether Jefferson and Monticello show complete, balanced detail across the design. Study the rim carefully for unusual thickness, distortion, or irregular shape. Then inspect every letter using magnification to determine whether apparent doubling is true die doubling or simply machine doubling or circulation wear. Small details often separate fascinating discoveries from ordinary pocket change. Professional authentication remains one of the most important steps before reaching any conclusions. Even experienced collectors can mistake damage, environmental exposure, polishing, or mechanical doubling for genuine mint errors. Independent grading services evaluate authenticity, preservation, strike quality, surface originality, and potential mint abnormalities using established standards recognized throughout the numismatic community. That expert confirmation often determines whether a coin remains an interesting curiosity or becomes a legitimate collectible commanding serious attention. Responsible research, careful handling, and patience protect both collectors and their investments while preserving these historic pieces for future generations. The next time a 1986 Jefferson nickel slides across a store counter or rests unnoticed inside a forgotten jar of spare change, remember that history has repeatedly rewarded those willing to look closer than everyone else. Most will be ordinary, some will be interesting, and a tiny handful could hide characteristics that completely transform their story. Somewhere an overlooked nickel may still be waiting to surprise the person curious enough to examine every letter, every rim, every strike, and every tiny detail before dismissing it as common. And if one seemingly ordinary 5-cent coin can conceal that much mystery, just imagine the unbelievable secret hidden inside the next shocking coin that collectors almost always overlook until it's far too late. Fourth coin United States Jefferson nickel minted in 1990 quietly entered circulation during a period when millions of Americans barely gave the humble 5-cent coin a second glance. Yet behind its ordinary appearance lies a fascinating chapter in modern American coinage. Featuring the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his historic Virginia home, Monticello, on the reverse, the 1990 nickel continued a design that had already become one of the longest-running coin series in American history. Composed of the traditional copper-nickel alloy with a pure copper core hidden beneath its outer layers, the coin carried the same everyday appearance that caused countless examples to disappear into pockets, cash registers, and piggy banks without attracting attention. Ironically, that very sense of normality is what makes certain surviving examples so captivating today, because collectors understand that extraordinary discoveries often begin with coins everyone else ignored. During 1990, the United States Mint struck Jefferson nickels in enormous numbers at Philadelphia and Denver, supplying commerce with millions upon millions of fresh coins intended to withstand decades of circulation. The Philadelphia issues carried no mint mark, while Denver examples displayed the familiar D beside Jefferson's portrait, a tiny detail that many people never noticed. Although production was massive, not every coin left the presses under identical conditions. Differences in die wear, striking pressure, planchet quality, and handling created subtle variations that have become fascinating to modern collectors. As years passed, the overwhelming majority accumulated scratches, flattened details, and dull surfaces, making sharply preserved pieces increasingly desirable despite the original abundance of the issue. Take a closer look at a well-preserved 1990 Jefferson nickel, and remarkable craftsmanship begins to emerge. Jefferson's hair should display crisp texture, his cheeks should remain smooth and well-defined, and every letter in the inscription should appear bold and evenly struck. On the reverse, Monticello should reveal distinct columns, sharp steps, and balanced architectural details that many circulated examples have long since lost. Collectors often become especially excited by coins displaying unusually strong strikes, because those tiny details can dramatically separate an ordinary specimen from one worthy of serious attention. Under bright light, original mint luster can still dance across untouched surfaces, producing a cartwheel effect that reminds viewers how beautiful even a simple 5-cent coin can become when preserved through decades almost completely untouched. As intriguing as beautiful condition can be, mint-made errors and unusual production characteristics often create the greatest excitement. Slight off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, filled dies, broad strikes, and occasional double design elements have all fueled passionate discussions among collectors searching through rolls of Jefferson nickels. While dramatic mistakes remain genuinely scarce, even subtle die varieties can transform an overlooked coin into an object of careful examination. Every unusual line, misplaced letter, or unexpected design feature encourages another question, another comparison, and another search through forgotten jars filled with old change. The thrill comes not from assuming every odd-looking coin is valuable, but from knowing that authentic mint-created anomalies sometimes emerge from the most ordinary collections. That mystery grows even deeper because environmental damage, polishing, machine doubling, and post-mint abuse frequently imitate genuine mint errors. Experienced collectors learn to slow down rather than rush toward exciting conclusions. They compare multiple examples, study reference photographs, and examine tiny differences under magnification before celebrating a potential discovery. The 1990 Jefferson nickel has become an excellent teaching coin because it reminds enthusiasts that patience often proves more rewarding than excitement alone. Sometimes what appears to be an incredible rarity turns out to be simple wear, while another coin dismissed at first glance eventually reveals characteristics worthy of professional examination. Imagine opening an old family coin jar expecting nothing more than pocket change, only to discover a remarkably preserved 1990 Jefferson nickel that catches the light differently from every other coin beside it. Stories like these fuel the imagination of collectors because remarkable finds occasionally emerge from inherited collections, forgotten dresser drawers, estate sales, and decades-old bank rolls. The emotional appeal is not merely financial. It is the possibility of holding a forgotten piece of American history that somehow escaped the heavy wear of everyday commerce. Even when a discovery proves modest rather than spectacular, the experience of uncovering something overlooked creates memories that often matter just as much as the coin itself. When discussions turn toward value, perspective becomes essential because condition, authenticity, rarity, and collector Demand ultimately determine what any individual coin might bring. Illustrative market scenarios sometimes imagine minor but desirable variations, attracting roughly $2,500 to $3,500, especially if supported by exceptional preservation and strong collector interest, while outstanding high-grade coins could be imagined around $5,000 under favorable circumstances. Unusual authenticated mint anomalies might inspire illustrative conversations near $6,000, exceptionally appealing collector pieces around $7,500, and remarkably preserved or uncommon examples near $8,000. Particularly unusual finds with significant collector demand are sometimes imagined around $8,500, while extraordinary historically significant examples may be discussed up to $9,000 in exceptional circumstances. These figures are illustrative possibilities rather than guarantees, reminding every collector that each coin must be evaluated individually and authenticated before any conclusions about value are reached. The emotional power behind such possibilities explains why collectors continue searching through ordinary change with remarkable determination. A single authenticated rarity could represent a meaningful financial surprise comparable to a down payment on a home, a sudden windfall arriving completely unexpectedly, or the unforgettable excitement of a once-in-a-lifetime discovery hiding in plain sight. Yet seasoned numismatists understand that the real reward comes from knowledge, patience, and careful study, rather than unrealistic expectations. Every examined coin teaches another lesson about history, craftsmanship, and the remarkable journey of American currency through everyday life. Anyone inspecting a 1990 Jefferson nickel should examine it responsibly, using good lighting and proper magnification. Confirm the expected weight of approximately 5 grams while recognizing that tiny manufacturing tolerances exist. Observe the normal silver-colored copper-nickel surface, rather than unusual discoloration caused by damage. Inspect strike alignment to ensure the designs appear properly positioned. Study the rim for consistent shape and thickness, and carefully search for genuine letter doubling, instead of common machine doubling or circulation wear. Comparing suspected varieties with reliable references, and obtaining professional authentication from respected grading services remains the safest path before assigning significance or potential value to any unusual specimen. Somewhere tonight, another forgotten 1990 Jefferson nickel may still rest unnoticed inside a dusty coffee can, beneath old couch cushions, in a childhood coin album, or mixed among ordinary pocket change waiting for someone curious enough to look more closely. Most will remain common, but history has repeatedly shown that remarkable treasures occasionally hide where nobody expects them, rewarding patience instead of haste. The next coin you examine could simply be another ordinary nickel, or it could become the discovery that changes the entire story. And just when you think you've uncovered every secret this modest 5-cent piece can offer, an even more astonishing American coin is waiting to reveal a mystery that few collectors have ever imagined.